the Chicago.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of your favorite Monday night podcast, What's Up, Cuz? I'm one of your hosts, Jason Palmer, along with my crazy cousin, the coach himself, Lancey Irvin, who on the last day of Black History Month is wearing a black and proud shirt. Is that what I'm seeing, cousin? What do you got there?
Black Wall Street. Black
Wall Street.
What you know about Black Wall Street?
I know a lot about Black Wall Street.
I just felt like since the end of Black History Month, let me show Black Wall Street some love. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, that was a community that we had, Jay, that was turning the money over 21 times, as far as I know, maybe even more. Self-sufficient, self-supporting. So I said, you know, let me show Black Wall Street some love today. What you got on? You got on IU though. What's up with Indiana? I mean, what they basketball team? What 17-10 or something? It's okay this year. Well, I mean,
I'm representing Indiana University today. That's one of the wife's schools. She went to 45 of them, so when you get them women who got all them degrees, you get to represent a lot of schools. So,
but Jay, they women's basketball team is doing it this year. I think they're like top 10 in the country, the top 15. They are.
They are. They're having the best season they've ever had in the history of the women's basketball program, and I think that's stunning. That we're talking more about the women's program than the men's in Indiana.
Well, the men's basketball team doing okay. I think they need to win a couple of more games to solidify they bid to get in the NCAA tournament. Mike Woodson. Coach Woodson played with one of my former coaches, Melvin Watkins, at UNC Charlotte. I'm just trying to get some history. I'm full of history today, cuz. Full of history.
You are full of history on the last day of Black History Month. We give that to you.
Today. Ooh, put my other glasses on. I'm on fire.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome to What's Up, Cuz. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, the Sports Zone Chicago YouTube channel, we appreciate you so much for tuning in there. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Also, if you're watching us on the Sports Zone Chicago app, we appreciate all of our listeners and all our viewers on the Sports Zone Chicago app. If you do not have the Sports Zone Chicago app already, my cousin Lance is about to tell you where you can get it.
You go to the iTunes store. If you go to iTunes, Amazon, and you can go to the Google store. Let's go get it. Go get it. And also,
get it.
We need everybody to like us. And like you always say, cuz I'll let you do it. But you always said like and let's share. And, get us some more viewers. Come watch our show. Our cousin Jason and I, we've been working hard. And what's this, year 2, cuz? Going on year 3 in the minute?
This is year 2. We coming up on a 2-year anniversary in July. And, let's start off the conversation tonight and kind of talk about that. Today in the city of Chicago and throughout the state of Illinois and most of the country, the mask mandates have been dropped. The vaccine requirements to go into restaurants and a whole bunch of places have also been dropped. So we have turned the corner on the coronavirus pandemic. We are still in the pandemic, but the numbers are pretty low around the country where officials feel we can ditch those masks. And guess what, Lance? That means we can recognize people again. Because I swear, I had one of my friends from college who I went in the Heralds like a month ago, and she was like, Jason, how you doing? I was like, oh, who the hell is
I know, Jay, that was the tough part. I always kept telling myself and apologizing. Excuse me, I didn't recognize you. We wearing these masks. Everyone looks different in the mask. But what's your thoughts, Jay? Should people go wear masks when you go on the sporting events? Should you not wear them? I mean, because I saw a couple of games, Jay. You might as well say they kicked that mask mandate out months ago.
Right. So, here's my thing on it. I ref this weekend. I have volleyball this weekend. I did not wear my mask when I was on the stand refereeing, but when I got down off the stand and had to interact with the teams or the scorekeepers, I put my mask back on. So me personally, what I found is that I have not had a cold in 2 years, nor have I had the flu, and I was lucky enough not to catch corona. So I think I'm going to actually keep my mask on for a lot of events where I'm at. And this is not something that's unprecedented. If you visit Asia, especially over in Japan, it's actually part of their culture. If you have like a common cold, that you wear a mask. Mm-hmm. Just wherever you go, you wear a mask, and that's just their culture of saying, "Hey, I don't want to give you my cold." And I was like, I could probably borrow from that culture. So I think that's going to be my philosophy. If I'm ever feeling ill or anything, I'm going to wear a mask. And there may be certain times when I go in certain environments where I wear a mask too. So I think, Corona has taught us that, you can still wear a mask regardless of the virus.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on it in public schools? You have any thoughts on like?
You're not getting me killed today on this show, Lance Irvin. So
somebody asked me that, Jay, and I just feel like it's up to the parents. It's up to each individual school. I said personally, I'm doing like you, cause I'm still gonna wear my mask for a little while longer. That's just me. But with that being said, though, to each his own. But I mean, see. If people still gonna keep their mask on, Armando, I mean, I'm probably keep mine on for a little bit. I know I am, Jay, because my wife, she's not playing with it. Paula's still wearing her mask. Paula probably walking around the house with her mask on still.
Well, and you see what I'm saying? So, I mean, she works in a school environment, in an elementary school environment at that. And like I've said from the beginning, the kids are where you get a lot of stuff from. You can get pink eye, you can get the cold, you get all sorts of stuff from these little kids. So that's what I'm saying. I may be keeping my mask on regardless of what's going on when I'm in certain environments, just because it's no fun getting sick. It's no fun catching a cold or strep throat or any of that stuff.
Yeah, this what I was trying to figure out, Jay. I was going to high school games, right? And I would see the kids have their mask up under their chins. Nobody had on. So I was like, what is this really about? Like, either you wear your mask properly or you're not wearing it. I'm like, there's nobody playing with mask on, but you wearing it up under your chin. Like, what was that?
So the IHSA required that us sports officials that we wear the mask, and the kids were supposed to be wearing the mask too. But once they started the activity, usually, like you say, the mask would come down. It was like a cup for your beard, I guess. I don't know. It was down on people's chin. So I didn't really understand the point of it. But, I wasn't the mask police. And that's what they told us to be. They told us, hey, you wear your mask, but if the kids are not wearing it, then if it's an issue, take it up with the coaches. If the coaches don't address it, then keep on going. So that's what I did. I didn't bother nobody. Plus, people across the country were getting in fights over these things. And I was like, look, I got enough stuff to deal with as a referee. I am not about to engage in this political quagmire. So you do whatever you want to do. So it's going to be interesting because sports, is really going full throttle right now. We got the IHSA state playoffs going on in boys and girls basketball. So I think it's good that they dropped it. I know Chicago Public Schools will still require masks in their schools, but all the other districts has pretty much become optional. And I think the key is optional. I think optional gives people some flexibility and is going to keep down a lot of the mess. But we'll see. We'll see how sports in particular adjust to it. But, hey, let's stay on high school sports because that's what's really going on right now. We've got the IHSA Girls Super Sectionals taking place tonight. Mm-hmm. Our good friend and former guest on our show, Coach Chris Smith of Bolingbrook, he is playing in a Super Sectional tonight. If he wins, he gets to go down to state. But Whitney Young, your good friend, Coach Chrissy, she's got Whitney Young. They playing against Lyle over at Mother Macaulay tonight. They got a chance to go downstate. Let's start on the girls' teams first. Let's talk about our friend Coach Chris Smith in Bolingbrook and talk a little bit about Whitney Young. What do you think Whitney Young's chances are tonight?
Starting off with Whitney Young, I think Whitney Young chances are very good. They're playing Bennett, and the one thing about Whitney Young is that over the last couple of weeks, they've been playing their best basketball. Destiny's out there, our girl Skylar out there, Skylar Jones has been playing well. Chrissy has really been coaching them up. I think they're undefeated in their last 7 games, so they're peaking at the right time. And when I was talking to my sister Cindy, she was at the last game when they beat Kenwood. She said, no, not Kenwood, the game, Lyons Township. They played Lyons Township after Kenwood. They played really well. I think they won by 20 or more points. So they're playing at the right time. It's going to be interesting, though, because Bennett, they really run their offense. They play hard on defense. They have a good system, and they have a really good coach, too. So that game starts at 7 o'clock. So let's see. But when you playing as well as Whitney Young playing right now, you'll never know.
Yeah, they're hot right now. I was shocked that they were able to beat Kenwood in both the city championship and they had them again in the playoffs, and they were able to beat them both times. And, it's hard to beat a team, multiple times, especially in the playoffs. Teams make adjustments to you, but Whitney Young handled their business against Kenwood twice. And, our other good friend, Coach Andre, stopped his team from getting their dream of getting downstate. And I really feel bad because, I love Andre. That's my guy.
I was just about to say, I feel bad for Coach Andre. Normally, I don't feel bad for nobody, is what it is. But I feel bad for Andre because I think Coach thought he had a really good team, which he did. They just wasn't playing well the last couple of weeks. And I thought I thought the athletes that they had would be able to get the best of Whitney Young, and it just didn't happen like that. So, hopefully Coach Andre and his team will make it next year, make it to the city championship and win it, then go on to win the state. But we had him and Chris on the show. Chris has a really good team too, Jay. I mean,
yes,
Chris
he does.
and them have been there. Like when we had Chris on the show, Chris was talking about why not us? Why not right now? So, Chris and them, they have size, they have speed, they're well coached. It's interesting to see what Coach Chris and them do. But I'm pulling for them. When we get off the show, Jay, I'm going to NFHS and see if I can watch both of those games. They start at 7, at 8:05 when we get off the show. I'm dialing them up, trying to see. So, it's good when people that's actually coaching, when the kids, you want the best for them. And like I tell Cindy and my brother Nick and Mike all the time, Jay, there's a difference between that bus on the right and that bus on the left. That bus on the left, everybody smiling when they going to smile. That bus on the right now, Jay, like, I did all this. There's a lot of mad people on that bus on the right, cuz. So, like I tell you what, like, you're a Lakers fan. So that Lakers team, on that bus on the right, I just want to say, your Lakers are awful this year.
My Lakers. This has never been my Lakers. I've never been a Lakers fan.
Your cousin Nick, your cousin Mac, not to change the subject, this just made me think about the Lakers when I talked about that bus on the right. The Lakers been extremely bad. That's all I'm saying.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, that's the Lakers. That has been the Lakers. They have played that bad. Here's a picture of our guy, Coach Smith, after his team won. I think this was when they won the sectional, him and the Bolingbrook Lady Raiders. So they are taking on Edwardsville tonight down in Bloomington, Illinois.
I was going to ask you now, normally, Jay, let me get back to history now.
Okay.
Edwardsville has always been a tough draw. They're a good downstate team.
Yes, they are.
Better size than people think they have. And
yeah.
They always have an inside young lady that's pretty good and a guard that can shoot it. So
Evansville has very strong girls basketball tradition, and they sneak up on a lot of people every year because we got that Chicago arrogance, I think.
Yeah. And Jay, they just not Bolingbrook. What's that about a 2-hour bus ride?
A little closer because they go on to Bloomington, but yes, it's definitely a travel. But for Edwardsville, it's a travel for them too now. They traveling probably further than Bolingbrook.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought Bolingbrook might be a little bit farther, but that's gonna be a heck of a matchup. Why you say Chicago arrogance in basketball, Jay?
Because we do have that arrogance, man. We act like the rest of the state of Illinois don't play basketball. I mean, that's what I got when Coach AC Earl came on, when he was on our show. And he was saying, it's a lot of great ball players down in central Illinois, especially in the Peoria, Bloomington region. It's a lot of great ball players out there where Nick is coaching in Western Illinois. You got people in Quincy. What's that other city? Alton, Illinois.
Quincy, Alton, Lincoln. Quincy always have players. Lincoln always have players like Bruce Douglas. I think Bruce Douglas went to Quincy. You had the Cook brothers. I mean, Collinsville had players. You had Andy Kaufman and those people down there. It's always some good downstate players.
Well, and you know how I realized it? It was back in the day. Remember when we used to have the Prairie State games?
Oh, that's really history.
You know what I'm saying? The Prairie State games, you used to see who was the best, in Illinois. You'd have different teams representing the state. And I was like, damn, there's some ballers in this state. It ain't just Chicago. So that's one thing I wish they would bring back, the Prairie State game. I thought that was really a good thing for the state. So,
and then you talking about Peoria, Jay. Peoria, Sergio McClain, Frankie Williams, and Sean Livingston. Like Peoria had, David Booth and the Booth family. We need
That's
to get
right.
Booths on the show.
We do. Yeah, we do.
We try to get one of them on the show. But it's always history in Peoria. So, like you said, though, the Prairie State games, Jay, I don't know, Jay, because nowadays people want to stay at school 24/7, or they go out to find their training in California, Houston, or Dallas somewhere. So it might be tough, but it's a great idea though.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what we can get done. Hey, let's go to another topic today. Today of all days, we celebrate the Big Mac. The Big Mac. The Big Mac. This is the day of the celebration of the Big Mac. Not that Big Mac. Ivan, what are you doing? That Big Mac. My cousin, your brother, Big Mac Irvin III. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday to your cousin, Big Mac.
We should have tried to get the original Mac buckets on the show. Like, Jay, these people running around calling them buckets. I tell everybody, listen, follow the And1 mixtape. Jay, you remember when And1 was the thing?
I do.
When they were going around traveling and stuff like that. Prior to that, Jay, they wasn't calling nobody buckets. They said, that's Mac. Mac buckets. He gets buckets. Then the next thing you know, here go this bucket, that bucket, whatever. I'm going back to the original buckets from the And1 mix tour when he used to play with Skip to My Lou, the Escalator. Yeah. Ooh, Mark Jackson brother was cold. What is hot sauce in there? That's back in the day. Jay, I'm hitting you with some history. The Bowl Collector when he had people falling into the gates trying to Jay, I'm giving you history. White chocolate, I'm giving you history, Jay. Let me.
So I will say this. Let me say. I think I could probably say this. Out of all of you, this is rough though. And this has always been a family debate. People don't know about it. But who is the most prolific scorer in the family? Okay, we can immediately eliminate you.
Well, we take me and Mikey out of there.
We take you and Mikey out. Mikey was this and assist. Okay, we got that.
Mike and I was a point guard.
Bobby could score. Nick was the best shooter, and Mac could score from damn near anywhere, though, and that's the thing.
I tell everybody, when they say who was the best in the family, say Byron. Like, you can't go against the guy that played in the NBA for some years.
It's true, yes.
But if you're talking about score that can do it all, there's no question. And at 6'2", could handle and have post moves, it was Mac. At the end of the day, it was Mac. It should have been Nicholas, but Mac had a little bit more size. Like, Mac and Byron probably running neck and neck, but like I said, Mac shot it a little deeper than B.I. could shoot it too. So,
true.
I'd probably get an edge to Mac, but that's a good conversation starter.
Yes, it is. We could actually argue that probably Byron was a better overall player, but that Mac perhaps was a scorer.
See, Byron was a better defender than Mac also. See, Byron.
True that.
All around Byron's one of the few people I knew, Jay. We was playing at Firewood Park. He wanted to win so bad. This guy dove on the concrete for a loose ball. I said, "Hold on, man. Are you crazy out here?" I said, "I should be the one diving. I'm the one not gonna get picked if we lose. You gonna get picked." Man, you lost your mind out here. Ivan, he dove for a loose ball on the concrete. You have lost your mind. But
yes, he truly has lost his mind doing that.
That's the difference. But one day, I'm watching Mac. We just shooting around, right? We had just finished playing pickup game. So Nick and Mac go off the court, by the wing area, about 5
Yep.
off the court. Those fools shooting bank shots out of bounds, shooting bank shots. Them things was going in so smooth, Jay. They was just banking them. We there for about 30 minutes watching them fools just shoot bank shots. You know how far that was, and they was not throwing them. You know how Steph Curry and Dame and them
Right.
Nick and Mac was shooting that for a long time ago.
Wow, that's pretty deep. So happy birthday to Cousin Mac once again. And we would have had him on the show, but let's be honest, he had won these basketball games on his birthday.
Mac is at the Whitney Young Bennett game.
See, what I tell you, I was at super sectional.
Corey said they was getting there around 6:30, so he's at the supers. I'm the only Irvin that's not at a super, but I'd rather do the podcast.
Lord. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'd rather do the podcast today.
I appreciate that. and good luck to all the boys basketball teams that are competing. They start sectionals tomorrow. Kenwood with your brother Mike Irvin, they are starting out. Who y'all playing? Lions? Who you say y'all playing?
Kenwood is playing Bloom. So we got
Bloom from Chicago White. Woo, Bloom, home of Brandon Cole. You coached Brandon Cole, didn't you?
Oh yeah, Coach BC at DePaul. Now you going through history. You forgot Ray McCoy, the All-American at DePaul also. I'm not gonna talk about Orrin Gilmore, Artis Gilmore's son. I'm not gonna give you too much history. I'm gonna leave that alone. But
Brandon Cole. Let me tell you, Brandon Cole was one of the most explosive high school scorers I ever saw in person. And I got to go to the game where he played against Tracy Webster and Thornton.
Ooh.
Exactly. Exactly. It was an unbelievable game. My best friend Eric went to Thornton, and me and him went to the game. We were like, this Brandon Cole dude was just shooting all over the damn place. I swear he put up 50 on Thornton that night. But it was a hell of a game. But we were like, all right, this dude is a player.
Man, that Brandon Cole, him and Tracy Webster, there's some good plays. Speaking of Tracy Webster promised to be on our show, cuz.
Him and Townsend Orr from Thornton. You got to get both of them.
Yeah, we didn't stay speaking of, but Brandon Cole, Jay, he was a good scorer. He could guard. He could shoot. He was fast, too, boy. Ooh, he was fast.
He was. So, a lot of high schoolers. So, good luck to everybody competing in the IHSA state playoffs. It's always a good time here in Illinois. Remember, we are the original March Madness. We went to court and fought for it. So, it is right here in Illinois, that phrase, the original March Madness. So, hey, tell them what we got coming up on our show tonight, because we got guests. Last week, we didn't have no guests. It was just you and me. But we got two great guests tonight.
Yesterday coming out at 6:30. I'm still in your line because 6:30 p.m. we have my man Sean Pryor, who's men's basketball student development guy at Grand Canyon. He's doing a great job. Sean used to coach at Chicago State, played at Oregon State, and he has a son that plays at Boise State. So we need to talk to Sean about that. And also at 7:30 we have my man Brian Burton. Brian is one of the up and coming guys, Jay, in the business. He was a coach for 15 years. He's an analyst on ESPN. He has his own All Access podcast show. I mean, Brian is doing some of everything. So I can't wait to have both of these guys on the show, because you and I started this so we could get people out here, get our fans to listen to people that's doing something different, because it's more in sports than just coaching. So we happy to have these two guys coming up. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. And once again, a special hello to all our true fans. I know Armando is out there, Patty is out there, Vernon is probably out there. We got a lot of fans and followers who contact us throughout the week, and we just want to say what's up to everyone. So before we bring on our first guest, let's squeeze in one more really quick topic, real quick. The Blackhawks are still looking for a general manager. Now, I don't know why this is going on with our Chicago hockey team. It's been a tumultuous season. They're still looking for a general manager. They're supposed to. I think the deadline is supposed to be like tomorrow. So they said early March they're gonna pick a general manager. But remember, we still don't even have a coach because Derek King he's the interim coach. So this hockey season, which is why we hadn't talked about the Blackhawks a lot on the show, it's just been chaos. They've got the whole thing with the Kyle Beach tragedy that happened. Then Rocky Wirtz was telling reporters to shut up, and it's just been one disaster after another with our Blackhawks hockey team. But I'll just ask you, when your professional team doesn't have a general manager, Lance, what does that do in terms of you being able to do trades and attract free agents coming up, and just what does it say about your organization when the Blackhawks have done what they've done and gone this long without a GM?
I mean, when you go to the professional race, Jay, they probably have an assistant general manager that's taking over some of his responsibilities. So with that said, from a trade standpoint, it really doesn't bother them that much because the president has to sign off on the trades probably anyway. But with that being said, though, as an athlete, you always a little bit leery because you're like, hold on, now this position's been open for a few months. So now, is it bad? Is it something that we're missing? Like, what takes so long to hire somebody? Like, is it turmoil? Is it chaos coming in? I'm like, what's the problem? We're going to ask Sean Pryor about that too. Sean in the administration. We're going to ask him thoughts on that. But Jay, what does that say to you? I mean, you a hockey fan. You and Evan Moore. You are a true Blackhawks fan. What's wrong with your Hawks? Like,
I told you what the problem is. Rocky Wirtz, after his outburst, which turned the fans completely off, he should have stepped aside and just let his son take over because his son is being groomed anyway. Just let Danny do it. You know, I make the comparison all the time, and, you know, like you said, we'll have Sean on in a couple of minutes. But I make the comparison all the time about the pastor at the black church who's like 90 years old and won't retire, but he's been grooming like 45 assistant pastors over the last 12 years, and ain't none of them got the job. It's like sometimes you got to know when to get out the pulpit. So, you know, that's my thing with Mr. Wirtz. Sometimes you got to know when to get out the pulpit and let your son take over, man. You know, you got the money. There's no reason for you to do it. Just let Danny Wirtz take over. And, you know, he can hire a general manager. They can figure out what they want to do with the coaching situation. And the thing I'm concerned about, because the trade deadline is coming up, I want to see if they're going to trade Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves. Because I think that may be the route they go if they really want to rebuild, and I really hope that they don't do that. But these are the decisions that a general manager or an administrator got to make, and that's why we got Sean Pryor coming on, because he's going to talk about decisions you got to make down on the collegiate level. He's coming up right after the commercial breaks. Everybody stay tuned. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're coming back with Sean Pryor.
I'm getting you before the day is over. You're going to tell us what the Blackhawks should do. Don't try to throw a nugget out there and try to take us to commercial. You trying to be non-committal. You're the hockey guy on the show. I'm not letting you out so easy.
Oh, well. Commercial break. We'll be back.
As an Olympic athlete, I prepare for everything. So when I became pregnant, I thought I was ready. But at 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with severe preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Looking back, had I known the warning signs, I would have talked to my doctor sooner. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications, and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans, and soon they will be available to everyone.
This vaccine means hope. It will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
I want to go back to work and I want to be able to move around.
To visit with Michelle's mom, to hug her and see her on her birthday.
You know what I'm really looking forward to is going to opening day in Texas Ranger Stadium with a full stadium.
We've lost enough people and we've suffered enough damage.
In order to get rid of this pandemic, it's important for our fellow citizens to get vaccinated.
I'm getting vaccinated because we want this pandemic to end as soon as possible.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
So roll up your sleeve and do your part.
This is our shot. Now it's up to you.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz? I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance Irvin. And Lance, you ready to bring on our first guest, cuz?
Yeah. We can bring our first guest on. Our first guest, Jay, he had me doing research. I thought I knew him, but now, I always knew Sean. Sean was a really good basketball player. Sean coached. Sean doing it these days. I tell you what, Sean is working at Grand Canyon, Jay, right? So I was doing my research. I wrote some notes about Sean. I forgot he coached in Middle Area. Then he went on to Eastern Michigan doing academics, just helping kids with academics at Eastern Michigan. Now he's at Grand Canyon Student Development for Men's Basketball at Grand Canyon. I tell you what, Jay, they sell that arena out at Grand Canyon too. So if they want to keep selling it out, Sean needs to make sure he keeps helping Coach Jude get the best student athletes in school that he can help get in their school and finding different things for those kids to do. So, Jay, I'll let you introduce Sean. Did I already bring Sean on?
Bring him on. Sean, what's up, man? Welcome to What's Up, cuz?
Hey, welcome. Hey, thank you for having me, fellas. Appreciate y'all having me today. How y'all doing today?
Man, Sean, I'm not doing too good. See, I'm a little jealous of you right now. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you. First of all, you come on here with a nice shirt on. I'm like, okay, you didn't tell me. I come on here with my black, but I'm not gonna penalize you for that. You and Canyon
behind him.
Oh, he got artwork. I don't have no artwork behind me. Then, how hot is it in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Right now?
Man, y'all gonna be mad at me at 78 degrees right now.
Oh my God!
And we wonder why you left Chicago. I know why you left. But Sean, man, thanks for being on. But talk to us about your position at Grand Canyon, student development for men's basketball. Talk to us about what you do and what your day-to-day role is.
Man, my day-to-day role changes, but it's the same as it's really having an impact on the student athletes and really just trying to find a way. Because just like coaching, Lance, and Jason, as well, you have to go with what you have. You can't just have a system in place because everyone is different. You know what I'm saying? If he can't shoot, I can't put him in the zone offense and expect him to make a shot. Same thing is with addressing them as a student athlete and knowing their background. Do they have, some ADHD issues, or do they have issues, with, being in the classroom, or their visual or their audio, learning those type of things. It really comes into really playing and helping the student athlete be successful, and also putting the right support system around them, because it's not fair to a kid. And speaking of, our own city, so many kids have been passed through, and then when they get to college, they can't even write their first name on a piece of paper or fill out a application or asking you these questions. And it's not funny because they never been allowed to get that far away, or that, because it was going to bite them somewhere along the line. So the student athlete should go back to the people that passed him along and say, well, hey, why didn't you hold me accountable? Okay, I was a good basketball player, but once that ends, how can I sit in front of people and talk to them and have a conversation, whether it's 25 or 30 people? People that's not your color. How can I hold conversations? How can I shake your hand and look you in the eye instead of looking somewhere else? The little small things, the little details that people don't teach our student athletes, or just Black people in general, because they expect us to assume that we know it, and half the time we don't know it. And there's nothing wrong with asking for just something simple like that if it's going to give you some advancement in life. You see more Black former basketball players on TV now because they can hold conversation, but they're also getting more outlets to do this before. Like if you didn't play basketball, you figure, okay, man, I'm going to work a 9 to 5 or driving a rig or something like that. No one said, hey, use basketball as a platform to open up other doors. You might be a good musician. You might be a good artist. You might be a good barber, nutrition. Tap into something that you're good at. It's, basketball is good for an extent, but you guys know once that body wear down, can you can you hold a conversation? Can you sit in there? So my first thing is trying to build a relationship with the kid.
Okay,
So
good.
finding some way I could get where we can make a connection. Whether we're talking about the Jays coming out, whether we're talking about Lil Baby and the Baby, whether we're talking about John Moran and D Rose. Find some way to get in there where we can have a conversation. Second of all, understand, have they had a male figure in their life? Have they had a father in their life? How can I be of a father figure? Lance, your father's has served millions of people in Chicago and throughout basketball. So many people could go back and say, hey, man, I'm thankful for Mr. Irvin. I can say that about my grandfather, Roy Pryor. So many people have been instrumental. I thank Tree to this day and Vince Carter because they're still instrumental in helping youth in Chicago and keeping that platform of basketball open for us. Now, I've been fortunate because my transition was easy for me because I was a basketball coach, Lance, and we already had the at-risk kids. So it's just really learning the compliance, Jason, learning the graduation rate, the passing 6 credits first semester. They had to pass 18 total, but they had to have so many hours progress toward degree. So learning that type of stuff had to come into play. Not just a basketball coach. Okay, you go see your academic advisor. I had to learn the whole circle. But the more well I am, the better that gives me more value in this business, being a black and talk to front of people and keeping capturing the people's attention, which is not easy, to find a lane that's good for me. My lane might not be like someone else's. I'm just trying to find a lane that's perfect for me where I could have consistency and build on that. And just continue to ask people that are older and younger as well, because if you're not staying transparent or relevant to what's going on, I don't never plan to be a dinosaur. And the best I can give you is my man from I'm gonna get you sucker when he coming out of jail. And he had the fish shoes. Thought he was the smoothest thing in the world. Outdated, now he's running around.
Right.
I don't want to be that guy. I want to be someone that stays transparent to understand what's going on. So understanding the rap, what these guys are listening to. Because if you don't understand what they're listening to, you're never going to have that connection.
So, Sean, let me ask you this. Which job have you found more rewarding or more challenging? When you were on the sidelines coaching or your current position?
Okay. Now, because there's no pressure, I could go home and have quality of life. I don't have to sit here and look at it and sit down to talk to coach about why we lost the game. I saw why we lost the game. Why we got to sit here 2 hours? You saw the same thing I saw, man. I can't bring back the hands of time. Listen, when the game is over or whatever, I am gone. I'm sitting here calling family, calling my kids, just trying to stay getting away and enjoying my life. Because if you don't get a break from this, and Coach Irvin can tell you firsthand, man, you'll be burnt out, and it's not fun because the pressures don't come from families or friends. It comes from the upper administration that's not being realistic to the situation. If the playing fields were even for everybody, you're not going to understand that. But the playing fields aren't even for everybody. So you can't the pressure you're putting on me that you're putting on Jim Boeheim at Syracuse. He's flying his people charter. They're having 2 or 3 meals. They get Nike Unlimited. They're getting CBS, ABC, and NBC games. Where we're looking to get ESPN Plus. Well, what if they don't have Fire Stick? How they getting to watch our games? So those are the things. But I would say I was happy doing coaching because you're having an impact on kids because you're building relationships. Recruiting. So you're hoping that kid, but that kid could tell you no, like a woman, no, I don't want to go out with you. So that's, you feel like all the time you've invested, you win some, you lose some. In this situation, I feel like I'm always winning because I have a control with these kids and having a relationship with whatever head coach I'm working with, which is right now currently Bryce Drew, a great guy. We've had an experience from playing basketball at the Pro-Ams in Chicago back in the day at IIT. And so we've had a prior relationship through the coaching circuit as well. So they understand, I understand what it takes to be a player, a coach. Now I'm seeing it from the advising side.
You know
So
what, Sean? I thought you were an up and coming coach, which means I thought you was gonna blow up in the business. I was shocked when you transitioned out. What factors made you transition out? Because I looked up and I said Sean is gone. Then when you was at Eastern Michigan, I said, is he serious? So what led you to transitioning out?
the political parts of the game, and then it's like you have to like it's like you understand, coach. Well, why do you have to keep proving yourself? My record is proven. I mean, am I going to be loyal to you? Can you trust me? Am I going to get it done? Yes. So why is that even a question? You know what I'm saying? And I tried to get on the Milwaukee with Pat Baldwin. Okay, he took Paris. I understand that move. I tried to get on with Kareem Richardson at UMKC. He took someone he hired before from Indian Hills. I understand that. I tried to get on with Mark Montgomery at Northern Illinois. They was having hiring process. I said, you know what? There's going to be a time where I'm missing out spending time with my son and my kids, you know, because it takes so much of your time. And is the money worth it? Even if you're getting paid $300,000, $400,000, they're paying your time. So whether you're in there 12 hours, that's expected. Well, you're getting $300,000. Where you gonna get that from? You're right. So yeah, but the time that you miss from your family and your friends, and the pressures, because there's no loyalty. They'll turn around and fire you tomorrow, and I don't like that part of it. You know, and that's why I had to really separate myself and saying I don't want to be 50 years old looking for a job when I've been doing this for 20-something years. You know. And I've been fortunate to be around some great people. Lance has been a mentor. When I used to see him throughout the business, just calling me about guys and just picking his brain or talking and working with the great Tracy Dildy. You know, I've been around some good people in the business, my Uncle Rick Pryor as well. So just speaking with people throughout the business. And even now, coaches ask me like, man, I might want to transition to what you do. Now, knowing that, I encourage people to do that because it's an easy transition for you. Because if you're able to work, I mean, Black kids need to see more of us like us. It's not just on the basketball, on the coaching. There are people that are compliance. There are people that are academic advisors, that are directors. You just have to have someone show you that, you know, and enlighten you to that. You know, when I speak to kids, if they want to get into criminal justice or business, I encourage them to do that, you know, but I also say, hey, don't forget about basketball. You might want to, you know, that's always a backdrop for you because you've been through the rigors of this business. So,
and you know what, Sean, Jason, my cousin Jason, I started this because we want to show people that there's different things to do in sports other than coaching. So that's why we're happy to have you on the show. And, you know, last year was a tough year because of COVID. What type of resources were you able to get for your student athletes at GCU? Because I was telling Jason from a mental standpoint, I thought a lot of kids, Jay, I thought they was gonna have it tough from a mental standpoint.
Well, you know, everyone kind of grew with this online, you know, and so we just came up with a system, to be honest with you. And then me having some older kids and those guys being used to the system, they were happy that they didn't have to go to the classroom and just kind of transition to online. Now, you know, so my study hall was a little different, and then just, you know, monitoring them on a weekly basis. And, you know, like you said, because of the mental stress. I mean, when we went to the NCAA tournament, we only had one day when we were able to go outside. Are you telling me I'm stuck in here for 12 days and I don't get no fresh air? So the mental toughness as an adult, that's hard. So imagine 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that can't use their phone or, you know, our kids were mad the other day. They didn't have Wi-Fi on the plane. I said, man, y'all spoiled. but that's what they're attracted to. You know, that's what they're geared for, is having, you know, social media. That's their outlet right now. You know, they're getting ready to go home and play the video game. I'm like, man, you guys have so many outlets that we didn't have. So it kind of fit up that alley, to be honest with you. I just didn't want them to get lazy and not be able to lose the social skills of being around people. Because when school started back this year, they were so hesitant, like, man, you know, and this is what the media created, that you can't, man, like a common cold back in the day for us. Okay, you just didn't go to school, but that didn't mean you shut the world down. I mean, you shut the world down. You know, so this was a strategic plan by whoever. I don't know. If somebody that's above my pay grade, now that's a whole nother conversation. But to maintain student athletes, hey, we treat them like you got the life of a pro. You got to study hard for an hour and a half. You get to go to practice, and you got the rest of the day to do what you want to do. So they kind of bought into that, and it kind of carried over. And with us having a good year, last year I think I had right at a 3.0 academically. I graduated since I've been here. I've graduated soon to be 8 in this April. So in 2 years I've helped graduate 8 student athletes. So that's been a blessing.
Excellent. Yeah. So, hey, so let me ask you this, Sean, because Grand Canyon University. So I remember Lance was actually the first person that told me about Grand Canyon University, and you all became Division I in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember asking Lance, I'm like, "What the hell is Grand Canyon University?" I was like, "Is this one of them online schools? I never heard of it." Then all of a sudden, I kept seeing all the commercials, and then all of a sudden, it started really building up. And I was like, "Okay, it's in the Phoenix area, so it's in a major metropolitan area." Tell me a little bit about Grand Canyon University and just its growth since you all made that decision to go D1.
Well, first of all, you have a president that is fully invested. Now, he was the one that helped Phoenix College get started, okay. Which, as you see, was one of the biggest online schools going. So initially, Grand Canyon joined the WAC in 2013. So they had that 4-year transition going into Division I. And then they found the name of Dan Marley to help add a little spice to it in this area, which kind of, and Lance can tell you firsthand, you talking about a place that loves their sports. I mean, our president does a great job of just marketing and getting all the resources. He hasn't raised the tuition here. We're kind of in like a UIC, Chicago State area where the neighborhood around us is, it's not as, doesn't have the money that it but our president has really invested a lot of money. He's put, now dig this, even during the pandemic, only 5,000 students decided to come. We still had 22,000 still on campus. 22,000 still on campus. His goal is to be at 40,000 students on campus within the next 5 years. I see cranes being built on campus. We have a basketball arena that holds 7,500. We have 7 colleges here. We have a beach volleyball court on campus. We have a softball stadium on campus. You have a baseball stadium on campus. You have a soccer stadium on campus. You have a track and field stadium on campus. Let alone you have 20 dorms that have swimming pools and glass basketball courts back there. Man, stop it.
Hey, Jason, when I first went to Grand Canyon, Sean, I told the bus driver, pull over so I can see you. Pull over. Jay, I saw new stadiums, soccer. Hey, Jay, I actually called. I said, you know what? I think maybe it was you or somebody I called Chew. I said, Chew, I need to work out. So Chew was like, well, how about if you go to the auxiliary facility and work out over there? I was like, cool, I'm not tripping. I get in there, I said, this can't be the auxiliary facility. Jay, like the field.
I thought you was at LA Fitness.
Hey, I thought I was at LA Fitness. Nah, I walked through that, Jay. I said, are they serious that they had the snack bar for the athletes, which I took some snacks. I owe y'all some money. But anyway, the facilities was crazy. What? Now, let's talk about conference realignment, conference change.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know if you can speak on this, Sean, but I thought Grand Canyon was probably going to be one of the schools that was going to move to a different conference. Has there been any inklings about Grand Canyon trying to move?
Well, I think with the improvement of adding these teams and New Mexico State leaving, I'm like this. Why go somewhere when you can be the top dog in your conference for the few years? I like at least run this conference for a few years like New Mexico State. Let's do that first, because I'd rather be in the top tier of your conference than fighting going back. Because there has been talk of us trying to get into the WCC. Now, that is something that they're looking for, which would make sense because of the Christian University in due time. With Portland, Gonzaga, St. Mary, Santa Clara, San Diego, San Francisco. that makes sense in due time. But I think as a basketball powerhouse, if you want to continue to build, I would give it a few more years until the timing is right, because we could be the Gonzaga and the Creighton of the Southwest because of Phoenix, because we have the third best fan support in the country. We pass either Kansas or somebody.
Duke.
Well,
Duke.
yes. Well, I call us the Dookies of the East. I mean, of the Southwest, because Jason Lance can tell you firsthand, you have the Havocs. Our president will make sure they're there at the NCAA tournament. He flew them out there last year, flew 400 kids out there. They had private planes fly them out there for our fan support. I mean, you're not going to get a better fan support. I mean, I'm just being biased because I'm here. They would probably say that at Kentucky, Duke as well. But they're genuine, though. There's nothing being derogatory said toward you. They're very like they're going to support you. So, that, like Lance, they probably happy you took the food. Hey, it's a given university. So, you appreciate that. And
So,
then,
go ahead.
Go
ahead, Sean. I mean, cut you off. Go ahead.
I do think in time, but I don't see the president rushing right now because he's a very smart man. When he makes a move, it's a power move for the right direction. Like I said, he has cranes on campus. We had 3 dorms, a parking lot, and 2 restaurants added over the summer. Now, we're already supposed to have 3 more dorms and maybe a student center added on campus here probably before the end of the year or by the next school year. I mean, they out here working diligently. So, and he's a visionary, and I like that about him. What he's done from Grand Canyon since he's been here, I mean, it speaks numbers, just for the enrollment. It's affordable. And it's just a great college atmosphere. We have tailgating for basketball games. You have kids, 2,000, 2,500 kids waiting to run to those seats. They have like a little amusement park out there where they have games and food for them. And then they line up about 6:15 ready to roll in, So they let in about 300 kids at a time and they rushing in. I mean, it's a great experience to see. You don't see that from the outside. But I mean, seeing commercials on ESPN, I'm like, wow, so he also with having, one of the basketball pioneers in Jerry Colangelo here as a basketball powerhouse, because you could get USA Basketball here to work out too as well. That's a big builder as well. He has the Jerry Colangelo College here. He's here at the basketball game. I just saw him Saturday at the game. So when you have someone of that impact and then also bringing USA Basketball over here, man, it's only a matter of time. You know what I'm saying? All Americans do to come here eventually. Maybe like you said, Lance, maybe going to the WCC might encourage you. But I don't think you need that because you have Bryce Drew, a former NBA guy, Casey Shaw, who played in the NBA, was drafted, Ed Schilling, who's on our staff, who coached with California.
I forgot about Ed.
Yeah, who's at New Jersey Nets. And then, like I said, you got one of the Mount Rushmore and Jerry Colangelo here. I mean, it's only a matter of time.
So, Sean, and some of the things that you do, I know NLI is big. Do you have any kids talk to you about name, image, and likeness? Do they come ask you for advice for that? Are you dealing with some of that stuff?
Yes, without a doubt. And we have 5 kids, and I encourage them to get the money. Because if the 5 could get the money, or UNLV running Rebels could get the money, or the Fly on the Line, or Marcus Liberty, them, when they was printing them jerseys, and them guys didn't see nothing. Calling home for $50 just so you keep making some ramen noodles and grilled cheese. Come on.
So are you telling me you encourage your son Sean at Boise State? So your son come tell you that, Jason, I don't know if I told you, Sean has a son plays at Boise State. As a parent, what's your advice to your son about name, image, and likeness? The same.
Hey, pay that man. Get the money while you can. Because it's only a small window, and if you don't utilize it, how do you help build your brand? And then also you put in their mind that they could be successful businessmen, that they could be their own entrepreneurs. I'm also at an early age. I don't want nobody to tell me that at 30 years old. I had that thought at 19. Why didn't no one encourage me? It was always shot down instead of uplifting and saying, that is a great idea, and let's feed into that. And how can I help piggyback off you with that? There was always discouraged. No, let's share the money, man. It's enough out here for it to be made. Why not share? So I encourage. Like I bought 2 shirts from 2 of my players. One had his own shirt. Hey, support. He had his little pop-up shop. Hey, I'm gonna support you any way I can to show you that you can get this going. Now it's up to you to continue the process, but at least I'm gonna show some support and loyalty in you in getting your business started.
So, Sean, Grand Canyon, just to go back on it just a little bit, one of the things that I've always been impressed with as I looked at that university is that you all offer a variety of sports, but you also offer a lot of variety in the club sports, like lacrosse and rugby. And then you got ice hockey, Lance, which is what
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Men and women's ice hockey at Grand Canyon. So I was very impressed with that, and I just think it shows the diversity of that university. Where do you see Grand Canyon 10 years from now in terms of its place on the athletic spectrum in the NCAA?
It'll be a power 6 for sure, because you have the money resources to get it. Money's not. This is like the Dallas Cowboys over here. Money's not a problem. You get the talent. Let's get it done. Now football's not gonna happen. Basketball's.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Hey, he shut that down. No, it's strictly Hey, I like that. Keep the basketball. Let it be the #1 program here. So, I mean, like New Mexico State has football. I understand that. So that's probably why they're transitioning to Conference USA. That's why we were transitioning to a WCC, Lance, because of it's only basketball driven there. Mountain West, now you're talking football. But if you're just strictly talking about basketball, the West Coast Conference would be the ideal conference.
Because you would think, Jason, when you think with as many students as GCU have, you'll probably have about 30,000 students or 20,000. With the way football is blowing up, Jay, wouldn't you think they'd try to transition to football?
I can tell you why I wouldn't do it. My sport is just like my philosophy is just like your daddy, Mac Irvin. I don't need y'all scrambling y'all brains. Playing football. You all right? We're making money in basketball.
I'm talking.
It costs a lot of money because you got to treat them kids for them injuries. You got to get all that weightlifting stuff. It's a lot to go with football. So I'm cool with schools like DePaul and the Ivy League. They got some football teams, but not all of them, I mean, Whitney Young, one of our best schools in the city, dropped the football program a couple years ago. They didn't brought it back. But I'm cool with schools making that decision and say, no, let's let basketball take the lead, because you're also developing the entire person. And we've seen the physical effects of football. And, we're talking about it at the NFL level, but I got a bunch of friends who play D1, and they talk about their injuries. And they ain't getting the amount of money that former NFL players got to treat their injuries. So I'm cool with that decision that Grand Canyon is making. I'm with Sean on that one.
I don't know about you two. I don't know. But Sean, let me ask you this, Sean, because you like fashion, right? Sean, a big fashion guy.
Yes.
What's your preference? Do you like the new City NBA uniforms? You know how they come with the new City uniforms? Do you have a take on the City uniforms?
Yes, I love them. I think because it represents you giving culture to that team and that city, like Chicago. Like, not too many people know, our 4 stars, our colors, the red, white, and blue. That's Chicago. It's like only Chicago could stand on that. Now I'm a big fan of that, and I think it shows. I think it gives a kind of a throwback to our ancestors. You know what I'm saying? I wish they would really give us, some Black history, uniforms. And there's some of the teams like the San Antonio Spurs, some of these ABA teams that came, like the Nuggets, the Spurs, the Nets. Man, do something that shows, if you're gonna go deep, let's go all the way deep. Don't give me half the glass. Give me the whole thing. So I'm with you, Lance. No, I love them. I think it's a great thing for basketball.
And speaking of that, Lance, I was watching our guy Charlie Moore, former Morgan Park player, University of Miami. Now he's down there balling hard, and they were playing Virginia Tech on Saturday, and they had what Sean just speaking about. They had one that was honoring Black History Month. A uniform that specifically. So I already hit up Nick like, hey man, hit up Charlie, man. I need to get one. I need to get one of them jerseys, man. I'm trying to represent. So yeah, I agree with you, and I do like the Phoenix Suns City Select jerseys, but they got the. I thought those were sweet.
Yeah, those probably the nicest ones, to be honest with you. Yeah. And they're fan favorites out here. Like you said, I like when the Bulls go with the red, white, and blue. You know, that turns me on. Or the Knicks go with their stuff. So, you know, I'm a big fan of them. I hope they continue to build on it. And like I said, like you said, Lance, it's a fashion statement. So they making money anyway. So let's go with it.
So, Sean, for those viewers listening, how can they reach their goal of doing what you're doing? Do you have to major in sports administration, or can you just major in something basic to do what you're doing? How can they get started if they trying to do that?
It's real easy. I mean, first of all, you just go to the N4A, which is kind of the NCAA website, which lists jobs. You know, and like I said, if you're a teacher or a counselor, it's an easy transition because this is a burnout business, and that's why I say it's key for you to work for the right person too. Because some people are like, if I couldn't do football, I couldn't do 125 kids. That's a lot of pressure on for a lot of at-risk kids, man. Listen, you know, basketball I could do. Football, you need an army with you for that one. So, but just go to the NCAA website. You know, even if you want to start high school or something like that, it's real easy. But it's really all your connection to who you network with, because it's a great job because you realize the impact that you're having on kids, and especially as they graduate. When kids are reaching back out to you, or I had some, like I work with beach volleyball as well, Jason. I've been able to work. I've worked with women's swimming, women's volleyball, men's baseball, women's gymnastics. So getting to learn other different sports and how they think, because everybody doesn't think like a basketball, football player, because teams that have individual sports, everything's based on them. So their mindset, their productivity, being accountable is a lot different because they don't have anyone to depend on. It's all based on them. So their mental approach to academics is a direct correlation in why they're doing good in school, because they're so accountable and used to doing things. I got to be at practice at 5:30, so I'm there. Whether when I'm performing on the gymnastics, it's just me by myself and 10,000 people watching. Same thing with baseball. I'm the one hitting. So learning different sports and different mindsets has really helped enlighten me to this. As to help my basketball think. Like, don't be enablers. Depend on yourself. Find the right circle that's going to tell you the truth, and then and build from there. And that's what I try to do in my position: is be honest as possible with these kids, nothing to sugarcoat. Because being their friend, you're just doing and setting them up for failure. Hey, let's figure out how we're gonna get this degree. You might not be the best math student, but at least if you're trying, I'm gonna put the effort for you. If you're expecting me to do it, then I have a degree. You see mine on the wall. So let's get that. And so you know what? I don't mind. Like, hey Lance, if the academic advisor at Hampton called you about your daughter, you would want to know that. So I'll call parents like, hey, because it takes a family. It's not just on me. I need the coaches. I need the parents. I need everybody involved to help this. To help this child successful and come out of here with a degree. At least while you're on my watch.
Got you. Couple more minutes here with Sean Pryor from Grand Canyon University, and they're really doing some really big things out there in the Phoenix area. And Sean, I just need to ask you, in this role that you're currently in, you're able to help a lot of kids from our community directly with that direct impact. Not all universities have a position that you have out there at Grand Canyon. Do you think because of what's been happening in the last couple of years and the nation is becoming more conscious of mental health of athletes and the help that they need, that more universities are going to start creating positions like yours so that you can directly impact the athletes and help them out, not just in college, but through life?
Well, actually, so it's funny. they have a mental health person now, and they started hiring that. So there's a guy named Dan Gertis who they hired and created a position for him. They created a position for me to help with men's basketball because it's such it's the flagship sport here at the university. They need someone to really sit down on top of these kids. You know what I'm saying? Because every coach doesn't really appreciate kids getting their degree. You know, I wasn't like that. I didn't come from the school like that, and especially people of our color. No, man, it's rough out here, bro. If you don't get this, like right now, a college degree is equivalent to almost a high school degree. When my advisor told me that 15 years ago, she was serious. So, like, I have a kid right now. Hey, man, you're in position to have a master's degree before you're 24 years old. Because they tried to make him do a double major. You did the hard part. You did the undergrad. Let's get the graduate school so you can bring something to the table. Here you are, 24 years old. You're putting yourself at a certain standard. You're not just you're not with the regular people anymore. Now let's get you here. You can ask for $70,000, $80,000 and build on that at 24 years old. Some people are not even making $40,000 at 50 years old. So let alone you put yourself in position and just understanding them and showing them that. I mean, the Rich Pauls of the world, we need more of those. Hey, why we don't have more black? Rest in peace to Hank. Who passed away. He was a true pioneer of the business, but we need more of that right now. If the opportunity comes, trying to encourage them in that. So my position really is just making sure, hey, not only do you get your degree, but so I'm not trying to keep you eligible. I'm trying to get you to get your degree. You're gonna be eligible. That's getting your degree, and what do you want to get your degree in? I've changed majors with kids. If they're not good writers, let's get you out of communication. If you're not good masters, let's get you out of business. But no one has these hard conversations with these kids, though. And that's where I try to have an integral part now with these kids. And hopefully they'll create more positions. And especially these kids can come talk to me. You know what I'm saying? They talk about basketball, we can talk about life, we can talk about whatever. And you'd be surprised the conversations that I have with these kids. I mean, it's some deep conversation. I'm not able to share, but just able to come to you and being comfortable with you, speaks volumes on my impact on them. And I appreciate that. Yeah. So if I get kids from 15, 20 years ago, that let me know I've had an impact in them. Lance, I thank your father for a lot of things. He had an impact. So people, you don't forget that. You carry those and you try to instill those in going forward in life. And that's what I try to do, at least in my position right here, Grant. I
hear you. Well, Sean, hey, man, we sure appreciate you coming on What's Up, cuz. Oh, my God. And keep doing the work that you're doing, brother. It is, in my opinion, it's almost like a religious endeavor what he is doing, because we've seen so many kids from our community slip through the cracks once we sent them off to institutions that were supposed to make them better people. And they ended up just being used for their talent and returned to the community, in some instances, worse off than when we sent them away. So I really appreciate what you are doing, Sean. And I wish you the best of luck. And actually, my wife and I actually might be in Phoenix this weekend. We're trying to figure out how we're getting out of this cold weather. So we may be out there.
If you need a ticket to the game, we play Saturday. So let me know, Jay.
Hey, Jay, you need if you in Phoenix, go to the game and watch how nuts the fans go up there. That's one of the places where you have to go.
I have some tickets for you, Jay. If you come, let me know. I got some tickets for you, my brother.
I sure will. I appreciate it, man. All right, Sean, everybody. All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our commercial break, and then Lance and I are going to come back and chop up a couple more topics. And then we got a guest coming on at 7:30. Who's on 7:30, Jess, again?
My man Brian Burton coming on. ESPN analyst. He's with an organization called Rising Coaches that's helping all basketball coaches out from youth to high school to college. I mean, Brian is kind of like you, Jay. He got a little jack of all trades. He's doing a lot of stuff. That man got a lot of revenue streams. So
okay.
Coming up next.
All right, sounds good. So we'll have him coming up at about 7:30. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and chop up some topics. And we're going to bring Irvin in because we got a topic we want to discuss with him, and we got a jump ball question. We're going to be talking about. I haven't
beat you a jump ball in a while.
All right, we'll see you in a couple minutes. You're watching What's Up, cuz.
I make my living asking tough questions, so here's a question for you. If you had the power to save a life, would you? I have a chance to survive blood cancer because my big sister answered yes to being my marrow donor. Right now, you can go to bethematch.org and offer a cure to someone with a disease like leukemia. So, what will your answer be?
And I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Be the Match Bone Marrow Registry. You are a match for a patient considering a life-saving marrow.
I'm not sure I have time for this right now. I have so much going on. I wonder how long the recovery is. Is this going to be like a surgery?
Bone marrow? Will this affect my performance on the field? How long will I be missing practice? I can't miss practice. I don't know if I could do this.
Be the Match. I remember signing up for this. I didn't think I'd ever get a call. This is a really big decision, but I could save a life.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, Lancey Irvin, as we celebrate Black History Month, and we talk about everything that's going on in the world of sports. And unfortunately, we got to talk about a topic that is affecting the entire world, and it's also affecting the world of sports. As we all know now, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, last week ordered troops into neighboring Ukraine. We are now in day 5 of an armed conflict where both sides are taking casualties. We're all crossing our fingers that this is not going to lead to something larger like World War III. We are hoping that this thing can get solved rather quickly, and there's a human toll that is suffering right now in Ukraine, as there are in other parts of the world. And I'm not just going to bring up Ukraine and Russia because, like I told people on my Facebook page, within the last 2 years, there have been 7 coups d'etats on the continent of Africa. One just happened earlier this month, to be honest, and those don't make the news. Those don't get the attention they deserve. Those don't get people pouring money and resources into those areas, and people who are trying to escape those tragedies are often not welcomed into other countries as refugees. So I'm not going to sit up here and just talk straight Russia, Ukraine without talking about what's going on in Africa as well, because a human tragedy is a human tragedy. And we need to keep it real about that. And, you know, when my people are suffering, you know, we don't get all this output of support. Nobody's coming to help us. But that said, I do believe what is happening in Ukraine is also a human tragedy, and I'm not happy with it. And we'll see what takes place with that. But what is happening in Russia, Ukraine, Lance, is starting to affect the sporting world. The sporting world is taking a position on a lot of this stuff. So we got word just before we came on the show that the World Cup, I think that's FIFA, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not a big soccer guy, but FIFA has banned Russia from participating, and the World Cup is supposed to be coming up this year in Qatar. So it's banned the Russian teams. They immediately, at first they were kind of wishy-washy. They're like, well, we're going to ban their anthem, and we won't let them play as Russia. They're going to be the Russia Soccer Club. And everybody's like, man, come on, man. why y'all messing around? So they came back after they got a bunch of complaints, and so Russia is now out of the World Cup. Formula One racing has taken away a big event that was supposed to happen in St. Petersburg, Russia, and there's a lot going on. A lot of people are pushing back against Russia for what is going on, and I just want to hear some of your thoughts on what the sporting world is starting to do now to take its action against Russia.
I mean, I think you summed it up well, Jay, when you said human tragedy is human tragedy. And personally, sometimes, Jay, I sit there and think about how can you just want to go in and take over someone's country? that the same way they did Africa, like you was talking about earlier back in the day. So, I'm sad for what's going on, and some stuff you don't understand. It is a tragedy, but I began to think about how it's actually some WNBA players. I was reading that they was in Russia. They had to come home. Like Jerome Randall, who was, played at Cal from Chicago. He was in Ukraine. He has dual citizenship. If I read correctly, he had to leave the country. So it's not just the Ukrainian people, it's people from the United States, and some of our people being affected also. That's the part. And I don't think any of us want a World War III. I know at least I don't. So I'm paying close attention to how close it's getting to us. Then you have people, Jay, that's like the United States. Should they do this? Should they do that? Should they do this? Should they do that? I mean, the toughest part is like why people just can't leave other people's countries alone. If they need some financial help to do other things, I get that. When it comes to war and all that stuff, Jay, I'm just like, come on, y'all, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and it really is. And I mean, Ivan served our country in the United States Navy. And Ivan's been deployed to different places around the world. And, my thing when I talk to my friends who are in the military, a lot of them are like, they always sending us somewhere around the world to fight for something that ain't got nothing to really do with us. And here we are getting bullets shot at me, and I don't even know what the hell I'm over here for. So, I understand what's going on, and you don't want a guy like Putin taken in because, this is how you get Mussolini's and this is how you get Hitler's and all these other dictators around the world. But, this country, we went through some stuff last January. And, I'm hoping American citizens really realize that January 6th last year wasn't no joke. Like, this country's got a lot of divisions, and, it ain't too far from home. Freedom ain't free. Freedom ain't free at all. We all pay a cost on that.
What you say, Jay? Freedom ain't free, huh?
It ain't free. Ask Ivan. Ask Ivan if freedom is free, and he had to defend free.
Is Ivan on? Because like you said, Jay, I just didn't feel comfortable saying and thinking like you said. Sometimes the soldier like, why we have to go fight somebody else's war? So, interesting that you said that, because I was wondering, do they really say that? How people often say they're a soldier, they signed up for that. I'm like, yeah, but really, did they really sign up for that? That's making sense to you. Like, okay, if it makes sense. So, that's the interesting part, because
I agree. So, we'll see. There's also talk about the Paralympics and what they're going to do in China, because they're supposed to be starting up. The Paralympics always start right after the regular Olympics have taken place, and what they're going to do with the Russian teams there. Or actually, they weren't considered Russian. What were they? The Russian Olympic Committee, or some nonsense name they made up. But so, we'll have to see what is going to happen here. I feel sorry for the people who are over there dealing with this. I have a journalist friend who I've been talking about, Terrell Starr. A lot of people are seeing him now. Basically, he's the black reporter over there, y'all, in Ukraine. Terrell's been on CNN, MSNBC, BBC. He's over there. And, this is not something that he trained for. And I'm true story. He didn't train for this. He went over there. He studies like Ukraine and Russia in that area. So he's over there covering stuff, but he's also into fashion. So he was over there opening up a fashion boutique. And he's been living over there a while, and then the war broke out, and he's like, well, I'm not leaving because I feel like I'm part Ukrainian now. But he's originally from New York. So he's over there, and he literally was contacting us reporters over here in the States and said, does anybody have any experience covering a war? I don't know how to be a war correspondent.
JC, that's the part, and I'm just going to ask, like, I mean, it's a war, like, how do they go and where do they go to cover the stories? Is there certain areas you go into? I mean, certain you don't? Is it certain hours of the day? Like, how are you doing it?
I couldn't help him because I've never covered a war. So I was like, I don't know. But what I did was I referred him and other black journalists. We referred him to our National Association of Black Journalists. Okay. So that way, some of the journalists who work for some of the major networks who have covered the war, they were able to reach out to him. He also contacted Malcolm Nance. Malcolm is a brother who worked 36 years in the intelligence community. And Malcolm was able to actually send him equipment, like the whole bulletproof vest and the ballistic helmets. They got pressed. He didn't have nothing. He was just over there outside with a tape recorder talking about he was covering the war, and I was like, that probably ain't a smart idea.
I mean, Jay, listen to what you said he was doing. Like, he really didn't know, but he's putting his life on the line to help give other people information. Now, that's real bravery, Jay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, without a doubt. And so I've been keeping in touch with him on Twitter every day, and I follow his coverage, and a lot of other people who are on the ground. Those are people I always try to get my information from, who's actually there, because they know. And so he's been really good with reporting what is actually going on in Ukraine, and it's going to affect the world of sports. And so we'll see how this goes. And it actually is part of our jump ball question tonight, because there was some news that the NFL announced earlier today. So Ivan's going to come on. He's going to tell us what the news actually was, and then we'll get into jump ball.
Yeah, so the NFL today announced their home teams for their away games, like their overseas games. So there will be a game in Mexico. There's going to be a game for the first time in Germany. And, of course, there's going to be London games as well. So I think there's 5 in total. Mm-hmm. But with the conflict going on now, if this conflict continues, throughout the year, we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, this is like 2 countries that aren't our country, and even in our country, we barely know what's going to happen. But if this continues, should the NFL be playing games in Europe? Do you think that the NFL should keep the teams there, or at least keep the games on the schedule and not reschedule the games back in the U.S.? I guess we'll start with, actually, you know what?
This is a tough one.
Ooh, this is a tough one. Ivan, I need your help on this. You and I, Jason, don't. I mean, it's gonna be tough for me to debate this. I'm just gonna talk this. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Jay. You go first. Go ahead.
Because this one may not even be a debate. We'll just say what we say. So, should the NFL have games in Europe with everything that is going on? I'm really torn on this. Here's what I will say. I think, yes, the game should go on. However, if the war escalates and we got a major conflict going on where NATO ends up getting involved, I would not do these games over in Europe. I would, out of respect for those nations, I just wouldn't do it. And I wouldn't want to be putting our mostly American athletes in a position where they could be targeted if this war truly explodes and we end up going down a World War III kind of level. Because it ain't just the football players I'm worried about. I'm worried about the tennis players who are on tour. I'm worried about the golfers. They golf in Europe. I mean, there's a lot of sports. Lance talked about the WNBA players who are playing in Russia. So I would say, yes, you can do it, but keep an eye on it.
All right, Lance, we'll go with you.
I think, Jay, I think Jason summed it up pretty good. My gut is saying, leave the games on the schedule and let's see how it goes from this point forward. But I'm also worried about the athletes when you're going over there, right? Because at any given moment, if a war breaks out or something happens that we think shouldn't happen, then will the athletes be stuck in the country, and how would they get back home, and what's going to happen and stuff like that? So it's hard. And I know sports is an avenue that normally makes people feel good, right? People like, well, we need sports and entertainment, and we want to feel good. We want something to make us feel good. But with that being said, though, you want the athletes to be in the best situation that they could be in. So I'm like, Jay, I'll probably keep on the schedule, but I don't know if it keeps going on. Those games probably shouldn't be played.
Yeah, I think I agree. If it extends out to multiple different, if other countries get involved, let's say the U.S. gets involved. If the U.S. gets involved, I don't think these games should be played whatsoever.
No.
But That's point blank period. But I'm also thinking about other countries as well. If another country decides to get involved and help out, like Jason says, if NATO decides to do something, I think it'll be dangerous to put those players at risk any further than. I mean, it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense with the fighting going on. It's a lot just for a football game. And I told Jason, like, it sounds like money would be the biggest factor in all of it. Of course, like, shocker, you know what I mean? But shocker. But it's the truth, and I feel like if it would have to be a situation like that where it is escalated to a point where the U.S. is involved or multiple other countries are involved for them to pull these games.
Let me ask you guys this. How much money do you think the NFL makes off of these games, Lance? How much money do you think they make when they play that game in London, or now they're going to try to do a game in Germany? I haven't said.
Well, I think that not only are you marketing this game to a particular fan, but like, you're catching a game. I mean, you're catching it at a different time, right? So you're going to get a peak at a different time throughout the day, but you're also going to be marketing to another continent. You know what I mean? Another country, like multiple different countries. And there are a lot of I've been looking up European football leagues have been kind of popping up on my Instagram and like, whatever algorithm is sending me, over on like Facebook and stuff. These leagues pop up, and there's a lot of good. Well, I would say I don't know how well they play, but there's a lot of football in Europe. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of players that are trying to break out. There's a lot of NFL personnel trying to bring European players overseas, to bring them, to the U.S. to play. So, I mean, there's a lot to think about. I feel like the money majority is in Europe, is in the continent of Europe, like where they're marketing. They're trying to. They're talking about maybe possibly extending a team over there, one day. So there's a lot that has to go. So I think the money comes from a whole nother continent being exposed to the NFL. Plus, you have the NFL in America. So it's a win-win for the NFL if they can get the games played.
That's Ivan, like you said. That's a strong if, and I think, like you and Jason said, though, we know it's money to be made. Like, why else would we play the games over there? In the end of the day, they can show those games on TV. They can show the games here and just broadcast them on TV. But it's a lot of money to be made when you play those games. And I was just thinking.
I'm sorry, Lance, it'll just be the European games. So Germany, London. I think they have one. They might be doing another one in Munich.
Okay,
that might be later on. But they also have the Mexico City game. So that game, I mean, Mexico is crazy in its own right. I mean, a beautiful country, but they have their own cartel issues.
Yeah, it's all over the place, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They'll be able to get that in. I'm more concerned because this is a conflict that's not just a group of family cartel. It's something larger.
They shooting ballistic missiles. They shooting ballistic missiles. This is different.
Right. And I
would be concerned.
And I was reading earlier today, and that's why I was scrolling my phone. I thought I read with the Klitschko brothers, the boxers, because I'm a boxer fan. Now, aren't they fighting didn't they join the army or something like that?
So one of them is the mayor. One of them is the mayor of the major city over there. One of the Klitschko's is, but they both are former military members, Lance. And so I did see that as well when Mayor Klitschko came on. He's like, if I get pressed into action, I'm fighting. And so, I was like, well, this is interesting. And, mad props to the president of Ukraine. He right there. He like, I ain't going nowhere. Y'all talking about y'all want to. He said, send me some ammunition.
Exactly. He said, Jay, and I don't mean to laugh, though, but I guess we can laugh. It's funny. He said, send me some. No, I'm not going nowhere. If you want to send me some, send me some troops, send me with them AK-47 or something. But I was like, okay. He
So
made his point, cuz.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. So, I mean, it's a situation that's going to be ongoing. We'll keep it monitored and we'll look at it from a sports perspective. But I definitely think the sports community is directly affected by this. And we'll see what happens. And, plus I'm mad at Russia because they cheat in the Olympics. So I ain't got no love for it.
I was trying not to bring that up. I was trying not to bring that up.
15-year-old figure skaters doing a quadruple loop. I like a quadruple. Ain't nobody doing no quadruples in women's figure skating. What y'all got this little girl on? But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So we'll keep an eye on that situation. But hey, it's 7:30. We're going to take a commercial break because we got our second guest of the show. Brian Burton, he's in the green room. He's going to come in and we're going to talk more sports with him. You're watching What's Up, Cuz. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Let's get back to normal. How do we do that? Wear a mask, wash your hands, stand 6 feet apart, get tested, and most important, roll up your sleeve and get the shot.
Get the shot. Get the shot. Get the shot.
I got the shot. I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot, and so should you.
As an Olympic athlete, I prepare for everything. So when I became pregnant, I thought I was ready. But at 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with severe preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Looking back, had I known the warning signs, I would have talked to my doctor sooner. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications, and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, Lancey Irvin. We got 25 minutes left in the show. We got our second guest to come on. And, man, I'm glad you got this guy to come in and talk to us. He is, I do admire this guy. Now that I look more at his background, he like me. He do a little bit of everything.
Hey, I told you, see, Brian's like the proverbial Swiss Army knife. Like, Brian is doing, he's an analyst on ESPN.
Right.
He has a podcast. He has allaccess.net, who we got to talk to him about. Man, he's a member of Rising Coaches that's helping the coaches through basketball, from youth basketball to high school to college. And he coached for 15 years. He was at Fresno State, IUPUI. Brian, and plus that, you know what? Brian is a Christian guy, but Brian is a good person also. That's why I said, man, we need to have him on the show. And when you act funny, I gotta stand in. I'm gonna Brian go come on. Jason acts funny. We call him Brian. I have.
What is that? Give my stand in, man. Brian Burton is here. Brian, what's up? Welcome to What's Up, Cuz, man.
What up, cuz? I figured out the best way to come in today. I'm not trying to take nobody's job, though. I'm just here to hang out, man.
But Brian, you know you have brothers and you have a family too, and you know how your cousins, they act funny. See, my cousin Jason, like, I tried to get in touch with him last night. He told me, I'm flying, I can't speak to you. I'm reffing. I just finished reffing. I can't speak to you. So I felt some type of way. So I said, okay, if you want to do me like that, I'm going to find another host. See, he always trying to get me out. But anyway, B, man, thanks for coming on. I know you busy, but, man, B, you got to talk this. You're doing great things. I mean,
thank you, man.
You was coaching, you ESPN doing analysts, Rising Coaches, allaccess.net. Talk to us about some of the jobs you have and what you're doing, because the intent of this show, B, was to bring people on where we could tell the viewers about different things other than coaching. And you, one of those people that we wanted to have on. So talk to us about what you're doing and everything.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. It's an honor. Much respect to Lance. I haven't met you yet, Jay, but Your cousin's been doing big things. So anytime you have a man that was a black head coach in this profession, we always want to make sure we celebrate him
Appreciate
for
that.
what he was doing. So, I was in for 15 years at all levels, JUCO, Division II, 6 different Division Ones, and I got married. My last 3 years and my last 3 years of my career, combined cities, we lived in 7 combined cities.
I thought
and you still married, right?
Still married. And how about this? We have 3 kids that are 4, 2, and 1. So,
wow.
So there's a lot of love. We had to work through a lot. We had to do long distance several times, and I think the faith part of me, I just had to be open of, like, God, am I just being so hard headed, and you're leading me to do something different? And I think the biggest message I got from the whole thing was it wasn't like one day, but gradually we made it very clear, like, I want you to serve more people than just the 10 or 13 on your players on your team and the few coaches that you work with. He's like, I have bigger plans for how I want you to serve, because who serves the coaches? And to be honest, part of what happened during the George Floyd social justice kind of movement era time period, got a lot of coaches together on different Zoom platforms similar to this. I think we had 3 different social justice roundtables that we hosted with All Access that we partnered with Rising Coaches on that, and that's how I kind of got linked up with them. But long story short, we had over 500 people on those gatherings, and so the one big thing I took away from it is, like, we need more seats at the table, right? We talked about Coach Lance being a head coach, but who's a black administrator? Who's black that's in sports media for basketball? Who's black that's helping brothers get jobs, or sisters, or anybody who's worth it or qualified, and particularly us, because we were talking about a lot of discrepancies and opportunities. And so I think God just put it on my heart, like, figure out a way to have more seats at the table. So that's why you see me kind of involved in a lot of different things. My wife and I, one of the companies that I love that my wife and I own together, and she's a former collegiate volleyball head coach.
Nice.
And she coached at 2 different Division IIs as a head coach. She was a record breaker player, Division I. She played 2 sports. She was like Bo Jackson back in the day. And she played volleyball and softball, led her team to NCAA tournament and softball, broke records. So anyway, I say all that to say she's now doing the volleyball thing. So we have a company called Uprise, and I think it kind of sums up everything we're doing anyway. And our motto is to help people to rise beyond limitations. So I think more than anything, and with that, we do development, events, consulting. So basically, trying to use our experience to help and give back. But really, all the things I'm doing, whether it's broadcasting, whether it's All Access, whether it's having coaches on, kind of like what you guys are doing, just want to help people to higher levels of success, rise beyond those limitations, because the world will make it seem like you're very limited and you can only do so many things. And we want to figure out how to break barriers and unite with people to do that.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, Brian, that's basically was the genesis of our show, kind of what you were going through with the George Floyd thing. And, I told people, I thought the George Floyd murder and then the subsequent trial and the civil unrest that resulted from, I told people when that happened, this did something to a lot of black people. It was almost like a slap in the face for a lot of us, like, made us question, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or am I supposed to be doing something different? And it affected me. It caused me to leave the job that I was at the time too, Brian. Wow. And I called Lance and I said, Lance, I think we should be doing more. And these podcasts is a way for us to reach out. We can use your name and my background, journalism. And that's kind of how we created the show.
Right. That's amazing. I think too, like, not only did it kind of make a lot of us feel a certain way, but I think it also empowered us. Because I think for one of the first times I can remember, it felt like we had advocacy from majority, if you will. Not to make it black and white, but that's what it is. When you're in the minority as black men and women, sometimes you feel like the boy who cried wolf. Like, it doesn't matter what we say, they're not trying to hear us. You know what I mean? They're in a different space. But then you see Fortune 500 companies, you see the NFL, you see the NBA, you see all these marketing campaigns that are trying to rally behind it. It's like, wait a minute. We got the attention of the majority, now we can have some advocacy. Now we can have some teammates in this, and now we can speak boldly about who we are. And it's not going to be you're pushed in the corner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So B, you're doing stuff allaccess.net. Talk to us a little bit more about that, because I didn't even know you were doing that. Like when I called you earlier, I said, "Man, that sounds good." Talk to us about some things that you're doing for that, so the viewers can know.
Yeah, so I think kind of derived from the same space, right? So what I started noticing was the Zoom era was kind of in the summer, but once school started, people weren't getting on Zooms no more because the school year had started. Summertime, it was popping. So I kind of figured out actually the same concept, StreamYard. We started using that, and I just said, you know what? God put it on my heart again. We don't have what black men are in college basketball media. Name one, other than Myron
Metcalf.
That's it. Yep. And I talked to Myron, and he actually said it to me. He said, B, I'm the only one in all of ESPN who covers college basketball. So it hit me it hit me as we were already doing it. And I'm like, man, this is something, you know what I mean? And at the time, if you remember, Isaac Brown and TJ Johnson were both two assistant coaches that got thrust into head coaching positions that basically their head coaches got fired for either racist type behavior or egregious abuse in how they were doing things. So here you have these black men who had this opportunity, and both of them won a conference championship. Both of them had these amazing seasons, but it almost felt like the narrative wasn't like they weren't pulling the trigger to give these men the job. So I think those things, and both of them got the job. We push those narratives heavy. We try to make sure it's not just BET with us, so to speak. We want to make sure we're empowering us, but we're also empowering and connecting with the majority again, because that's when you're going to have attention of everybody. So long story short, we were fortunate to be able to link up with some experts in their field. So basically we started with 6 shows with different themes behind it. We had a junior college show highlighting junior college basketball because there's narratives around that, right? So coaches that would come on that started their career there. We talk about some of the players that were playing. We talk about some of the stuff that was going on. We had a high school show, 2 different college basketball shows, and then an HBCU spotlight. And we basically try to bring in experts in all those fields that could be a co-host, kind of like what you guys are doing. And we talk about stuff all across the country that's going on in college basketball, kind of a sports center, if you will, for everybody else that's not at the Power Five, that's not at the real level. And we've added a little bit more to it. We have up to 9 shows now this year. We've added some awards. We try to give weekly awards at the end of the year. We're going to send out physical awards for coaches of the year, players of the year, teams of the, things like that, to be able to feel like, what about everybody else that wants to get acknowledged, that's doing great work? And there's so many people that are, but it goes a long way to be able to be recognized. So that was kind of the concept, and it's really grown. We had 11 million views in the first season, which was really mind blowing because it really wasn't something we set out to do that. And we've been fortunate to add some new pieces here and there, and just slowly growing it. And now that I'm doing broadcasting, it's funny because people are like, wait a minute. Like you said, Lance, like, wait, you do that too? It's like, well, this was actually first. This is what started. And I think it kind of led to some of the people being open to broadcasting, because it's hard to get reps for us, again, on screen. Like, when do you get those reps? So, yeah, long story short, it's been a blessing, and just looking forward to continuing to push positivity forward, man. We need more love. We need more stories. We need to celebrate more of the people that are doing great work.
You know what, you're doing a great job, and one thing I love that you said is that it's Power 5, but it's a lot of us was in the other conversation. I felt like nobody was really talking about it unless you won like 20-something games, and then that's already gonna be pushed.
Right.
Like you said, it's tough sitting in those seats. So when you were coaching, B, were you thinking like, man, I should be in the Power 5, or was you just like, man, let me do the best I could do here and see if I'm gonna get some notoriety doing it at this level?
I mean, I think it's hard to think that you don't want to aspire to the higher levels, because it feels like twofold. Financially, you know the benefit of that side, but you also just know, like, competitively, you just want to keep growing and get to that level, because also you to be where you were, to be a head coach, it feels like you have to be a Power 5 assistant to get a chance. So I just open up more doors, give yourself the best chance. It felt like you had to be. So I didn't have crazy aspirations to go to that level, to be honest, but I did have aspirations to keep climbing as high as you could and then try to go get you a job. But I think God, again, kind of shifted me a little bit differently and just said, man, do you really want to be at that level? And do you really want to be a lifer in this? You see how it is with kids now. And I think he just kind of opened my eyes, like I said, I was open to following him for a long time. I was following him in that business. And then it was like, you know what, I'm gonna let you shift. And I felt like he blessed it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened the way it's happened. So unfortunately for that.
Exactly. So now you're doing ESPN also. Tell me how that happened. Did it just fall on your plate, or like somebody came to you like, hey, look, B, we think you'll be good.
I wish. It was really more so just, kind of same thing at home at the pandemic and figuring out how you could still be around the game. My younger brother's head women's coach at a Division II. That's going Division I, and he's absolutely killed it. When he got there, he's at Texas A&M Commerce for women's basketball. When he got to be a head coach, they had won 26 games in 5 years. And then I think in his 5th year, they went 26-0. And then they continued to end up winning the conference. And then now in his 8th year, they've gotten all the way to #1 in the country. They're going to the Southland Conference Division I next year. So it kind of started a little bit with I'm sorry, Coach. Remind me what you. Oh yeah, yes. So it started with going to his game. So I was trying to call everybody around here to see if I can have an opportunity, and everybody's like, "COVID, we're not taking anybody. Do you have film?" Well, I don't have any film. I never done it. So then I took from having film. So I went home for Christmas and got to call 4 of my brother's games, which was awesome. Volunteered, did it, and then this year, just kind of was staying persistent. Saw a coach, the head coach from out here, one of the events. And I told him I was trying to get on radio. He said, man, follow back up with me. Next thing you know, I sat down with the AD, stay persistent. And then next thing you know, they had just signed this ESPN deal. And it worked out. So, and from that, it led to Mountain West. I've gotten some connects to possibly do some things on even some of the bigger networks for next year. So we're just keeping fingers crossed and staying prayed up, man.
But you're doing more than that because you're a girl dad too. Go ahead, Jay. Did you want to ask a question?
No, I was just telling them, let the baby sing. That's like the black church. Let the baby sing.
So talk to us about Uprise. Go ahead, B.
I think she's trying to come in. Hold on, we got a special guest.
Let her come in. I'm partial to the babies.
Yeah, it's like the black church, man. You don't keep the babies out. We let the babies sing in the church. Half of them do the sermon anyway. There we go. That's the baby.
Who is that?
She want to jump in with me.
What's her name? What's her name, B?
This is Capri.
Hey, Capri, how are you?
She's not the most talkative.
So
she's
let
the
me ask
gangster in the family.
So let me ask you this: Uprising volleyball. Do we have a volleyball player in the mix right now? Also,
my wife would say absolutely. They try to debate which one they like more. My wife always tries to do the convincing. I'm like, yo, whatever they play, they're not gonna have no problem with jeans because of her. So that's a good thing. I wasn't on the same level as her, but with Uprise, our first big event this year was actually a Division I tournament. We had a 4-team tournament that we hosted in Charleston, South Carolina. Which it was a huge blessing at College of Charleston. And then rising coaches from our relationship, they came in at the end and decided to purchase the naming rights. So it was called the Rising Coaches Classic. So, it was the first annual Rising Coaches Classic. I actually hold a position with them in their DEI Alliance, which happened from those social justice roundtables. We just finished a really cool initiative. 2 initiatives I can talk about. One, Coach Irvin's sister was in. Corey was in it. She was a part of a Next Up, which is our 2nd year we've had it. So basically, we're partnered with 12 different organizations. We're partnered with 12 different organizations that are either social justice groups or minority groups. So Latino Coaches Association, Black Coaches Association, Be Ready Family is one of them. Dream Dialing. and there's a handful of others, right? So basically, each group nominates people, and from there they have to qualify, send in a video, or do a certain application to get into this Elite 12, and they get to go through a job simulation with a search firm to give them practice. Because again, we don't normally get this access. We don't code, so to speak, right? So it's giving minorities a chance to be a part of that. Again, Jewish Coaches Association, Asian Coaches Association. So we have a diverse group, and Corey was in it. She did a phenomenal job. And then last year we have 3 head coaches that came out of it. So Ben Johnson, head coach of Minnesota, he was a part of it. Jason Hart, who was a part of BCA, he's a head coach in the G League. And then Coach G, she's the head coach at Colgate. So we were fortunate our alumni list is already growing actual production. So that's been amazing. The second initiative we just finished was an equality and inclusion night all over college basketball. Basically, we sent over 1,000-something pins to every single Division I school, men's and women's. So they wore an equal sign pin for equality, and basically they got to pick the night. They were supposed to wear all black or wear something unified, and they could have a cause that they believed in that they wanted to stand for, or just the words in general and what they represent. Working to spread love, keeping it inside in mind, because you know what happens. They take the narrative, and all of a sudden, they don't need an election. They don't need to get it, and it's not pushed the same way. So we want to make sure we keep it inside in mind and keep spreading love. So that we had over almost 200 schools participate, which was powerful. So yeah, great thing. Shout out to Rising Coaches. Blessed to be partnered with them and also be a partnered on one side with all access, but then on the other side, I get to be a VP and help make some change. Talking about advocacy, the CEO is a white guy, and there's no knock race wise, but he's an advocate. If he wasn't an advocate, we wouldn't be able to do the things we're doing. So I give shout out to Tom Gordon all the time, because I don't know if he would have had the same courage to do it without what happened in that time. And I think that's a blessing. Yeah.
When you talk about search firms and stuff, Brian, I mean, do you think search firms are basically running all the hirings when it comes to college basketball, and do you need to know some people in the search firm to get a job these days?
Good question.
I think great question. I think you have to be involved in it. It's like saying I'm gonna be a college coach, but I don't want to do anything. So you don't have to, but it's probably gonna put you behind, right? Because this day and age, there's so much going on social media. Social media is now the window into programs now, right? Especially during the pandemic, you couldn't go on visits. So you're doing virtual visits, and social media has become even a bigger thing where people are hiring people on staffs and athletic departments are hiring. So I think similarly enough, the way the game is evolving, search firms protect the school from if there's a choice that they don't make or they don't like, then, well, we had a search firm. It just kind of gives that go-between. You know what I mean? It's really what it is. But at the same time, the good ones, and there's politics in search firms too now, because what happens is, the truth of it is, sometimes the search firm, they'll give you, okay, so X school gives Chicago University, we'll say, okay? They give this certain Jason Palmer and Associates this search. Well, now when Jason Palmer and Associates has an AD search, they're gonna be like, "Yo, man, we gave you that search. I need to be involved in that level up, so I can get the next job." So there is some. Let's be honest, but it's also the search firms can be helpful because they do have influence over them to sometimes get jobs, or at least get you in there.
Wow, that's pretty good. And Brian, I am, I'm a USAV volleyball referee myself.
Okay.
I actually had 9 matches yesterday, which is why I couldn't talk to my cousin yesterday. He was bugging the hell out of me.
I almost got hired, right?
So, we're definitely we definitely want your wife to come on the show as well, because we want to talk volleyball. We realize that volleyball is the fastest growing girls sport, and that it's actually going to take over high school basketball probably within the next 4 years, according to the National Federation of High School Sports. They've even admitted it, that volleyball is really growing like that. being a girl dad is kind of like what I want to talk to you about. You know, the phrase really came about after the unfortunate loss of Kobe Bryant. Yep. But as you have young daughters and, you know, eventually they'll probably get into sports, and we see the behavior that is happening at some of these youth sporting events, and I know your wife can speak about it too. I just ejected a parent 2 weeks ago for doing some dumb stuff. We actually had a guy who brought in an air horn at a 12-year-old girls volleyball match and was blowing the air horn as the other team was trying to serve. So that level of stupidity is out there in youth sports. How are you going to handle situations as a father when your daughters start playing whatever they're playing, soccer and all that type of stuff? What type of parents do you and your wife want to be at these sporting events?
No, I'm glad you asked that. So one, I was talking about Kobe real quick. Kobe is probably the biggest inspiration to everything that I am doing now. Our youngest daughter is named after Kobe Bryant. She's Kobi. So she's Kobe. My wife's from LA, so she's a Kobe Bryant fan. That's her favorite player. And, you know, I think the best part about Kobe in the second chapter of his career, everything he did was about purpose, passion, and his family, right? So for me, as you can see, you know, mom is actually coaching volleyball right now. So I'm at home watching the movie. Apparently, we didn't want to watch the movie no more. So number one, I know in my house, I don't get a whole lot of say. So most of it is going to be what my wife says, with volleyball especially. But when it comes to parenting and being in that space, I think there is a standard that you want to make sure your kid, it's almost like with recruiting. Like you almost have to understand who you align yourself with in youth sports is going to matter. And it's less about winning all these games right away and all this other stuff, but who's going to develop, who understands the nonsense from the noise and the real, and just trying to surround yourself with the right type of people. Because at the end of the day, you can't control parents in the stands, but I believe most of the time, if you're a certain organization, you have a certain standard, no different than coach when he was a head coach, you're just not going to have those type of people most of the time. I would start with that, and just try not to deal with a lot of nonsense in life, man. I dealt with that during my time in college basketball. I try to leave that out now, but I do know that's a part of youth sports, and even parents having unrealistic expectations. So, yeah, luckily I don't get too emotional in it, at least not yet. So that's what I should say.
We're gonna do that. Well, hey, Coach Bird, thank you so much for joining us. And Lance, we made some history. This is the first time we had a baby as a guest on the show.
We made her a star. Her daddy and mama already made her a star. She was on our show first. So if I'm ever coaching girls, tell your brother he got to fall in line. Tell him the scholarship first.
No doubt. Appreciate you having me. Keep up the great work.
Man, B, thank you. And tell your wife we serious, though. We need to have on when we talk about volleyball. Also.
We really do. She's in the middle of the season like me, though, so I know how it is.
You'll see who the star is in the family. She owns a club, and she does this, she does that.
What's the name of the club?
Her club is in Texas, so she's owned this club for 10 years. It's called Ziva, Z-I-V-A. They actually finished national runner-up, I want to say 4 years ago, and they started from scratch. I mean, it's a small town in Wichita Falls, so she's the real brains in the operation. But I just try to make sure I listen to what she says and stay out the way as best I can.
All right, there you go. We're gonna get on the show. We did that serious, so
no doubt.
Hey, B, I'll be in touch.
Appreciate y'all very much, man.
Appreciate it. I'll call you about some other stuff, too.
All right. Brian Burton, everybody. All right, cuz, we have come to another episode. Woo, 2 hours flew by this week, man. We had to talk about a lot of stuff, man. And we got a couple things we didn't even get a chance to talk about. Major League Baseball. Are they still talking? What's the latest? We don't know if the first week of the season is canceled or not.
It's dark outside. They have till midnight. So I would assume you would take it all the way up to the final hour.
I hope so. So we'll see what's going on. We'll update you on that next week. We got to get out of here because Lance Irvin has got to watch some girls basketball.
I was just going to tell you, Whitney Young is down 29-32 at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Oh, wow. Okay. And we'll see what Bolingbrook is doing, too. And we'll get all that stuff next week. I'm Jason Palmer for my cousin Lance Irvin, our producer Ivan Vargas. Peace out. See you next week.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, we will march on to victory. We will march on to victory. Let us march on to victory.